that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, two conversations. Up first, it's Thursday, so Smiley and West is on the air. We'll take Dr. Cornel West's temperature on a few things today. Kamala Harris's big announcement yesterday. Canada's big announcement yesterday that alongside France and the UK, it too plans to acknowledge Palestinian statehood, and will dialogue with Doc about why it has never been easy to be both American and black. Cornel West at the top of Hour 2. On the B side of Hour 2, we'll speak with former U.S. Congressman Bobby Rush about the new memorials and walking tour honoring the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, which Bobby Rush co-founded with Fred Hampton. In Hour 3, two more conversations. We're going to squeeze an 80-pound show into a 40-pound bag. Lord help us. Up first, the former head of the National Urban League, John E. Jacob, whose memoir was just published. It's called I Will Fear No Evil. So at the top of Hour 3, the former head of the National Urban League. On the B side of Hour 3, a conversation with the current president and CEO of the National Urban League, Mark Morial, about the organization's State of Black America report for 2025. I ain't done yet. In this first hour, two more conversations. On the B side of this hour, the Reverend Dr. William Barber II returns to the program just in time for the paperback release of his text, White Poverty, How Exposing Myths About Race and Class Can Reconstruct American Democracy. I suspect we'll also talk a bit with Reverend Barber about the redistricting drama in Texas and the latest action with the Moral Monday protest. But we commence today's show talking politics with our regular contributor, the noted civil rights lawyer and towering public intellectual Connie Rice. Before I bring Connie on the line, you all heard the big news yesterday. Kamala Harris announced that she will not run for governor of California. She promised a while ago she'd make a decision by the end of the summer. And so the announcement came yesterday. We broke that news on this station, my home station. I got a little word from a secret birdie who told me he was about to go down. And so I told all of you what was happening before the national media broke the story. And so an hour later, Kamala Harris did, in fact, make the announcement she's not running for governor of California. That raises all kinds of questions. But after she made the announcement, then comes all the good stuff. She announced a new book that she's about to drop, and the book's already done. She was holding up pictures of it on her social media pages. A book is coming out. She's on Stephen Colbert tonight, so she returns to that. That's going to be fascinating because Colbert has already lost his job for going in on Donald Trump. I can't imagine what happens tonight when he and Kamala get together to go in on Donald Trump. Anyway, here's what Kamala had to say yesterday.
Just over a year ago, I launched my campaign for President of the United States. 107 days, traveling the country, fighting for our future. The shortest presidential campaign in modern history. It was intense, high stakes, and deeply personal for me and for so many of you. Since leaving office, I've spent a lot of time reflecting on those days, talking with my team, my family, my friends, and pulling my thoughts together. In essence, writing a journal that is this book, 107 Days. With candor and reflection, I've written a behind-the-scenes account of that journey. I believe there's value in sharing what I saw, what I learned, and what I know it will take to move forward. In writing this book, one truth kept coming back to me. Sometimes the fight takes a while, but I remain full of hope, and I remain clear-eyed. I will never stop fighting to make our country reflect the very best of its ideals, always on behalf of the people. So thank you for being in this fight with me. I am forever grateful. And I cannot wait for you to read this. And I'll see you out there. Take care.
It's always predictable, right? They get out, they write books, they give speeches. It is what it is, and I ain't mad at none of them. All right, that's what Kamala had to say. We'll see what Connie Rice has to say for the next 25 or 30 minutes when we come forward. Going to be a great show. Connie Rice, Cornel West, William Barber, John E. Jacob, Mark Morial. Y'all don't want none of this. I'm Tavis Smiley.
generous listening.
Charitable listening.
It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we aim to foster enlightening, sustainable, restorative dialogue, and we welcome unapologetically progressive viewpoints that empower fellow citizens. We are now accepting submissions for KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorials like this one.
With the KBLA Talk 1580 guest editorial, I'm Martin Gordon, chair of the Pasadena Community Coalition. Recently, I listened to a Tavis Smiley show conversation with James Farr. James said something that caught me off guard. Black out the Dina is gone. My community is being murdered. I said murdered.
All you have to do is go to our website homepage at KBLA1580.com and click on the icon that says KBLA Guest Editorials to learn more about our editorial standards and content submission guidelines. As long as the topic aligns with our mission, we are happy to review your submission and consider it for broadcast. We can't make any promises, but we want to amplify progressive perspectives that are community-focused and solution-oriented. So, go to KBLA1580.com right now to download all the information you need about our guest editorials. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Hey, man. Hey, what's up, What's that station you listening to? Oh, man, you don't know? That's Talk Radio. KBLA, 1580 AM. Check it out. 1580 KBLA. KBLA AM. 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary, and this track right here is the gift one of our devoted listeners presented to us.
Where you get some information, get a true education, just to know. Ooh, yeah. 1580.
How cool is that? Having a member of our KBLA delegation write us a song. Stop it! Our listeners love us and there ain't nothing we can do about it. Wouldn't want to. Thanks to Cardell and everybody else for turning on KBLA Talk 1580. We love you right black.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Keep it like me. Ooh, KBLA 1580 Talk Radio. Progressive. KBLA.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Connie Rice. Let me cut her loose right now. Connie, you and I discussed on this program some months ago. We all knew this, and she certainly knew it, that Kamala couldn't do both. She could not run for governor and president. She certainly made a decision about the former. We will see what happens in the months to come about the latter. But what are your thoughts about her announcement yesterday?
I'm not surprised. She knows that she didn't really have a fair shot, given a half. You know, she basically got a 767 off the runway, Tavis, with no runway. She got that big bird off the tarmac with no runway. Mm-hmm. All right. So she is an Olympiad level political athlete in the zip code of Obama. Okay, you want to talk about top athletes, political athletes. So she is the real deal. The thing of it is, my analysis as to why she didn't win is, number one, it was too late. Biden got out of it too late.
Right.
But the second thing is that traditional party politics don't work anymore. And the Democrats missed the media landscape shifts, and they missed the political shifts. They ran a perfect campaign for 15 years ago. And when the terrain changes and you don't, even though you do pitch perfect, A to Z manual, well, the manual that you used is no longer in effect. The game that you're playing is over. There's a new game, and they didn't know it. So the question is can she and the other top Democratic leaders get into the new game and help to create new rules, because there's no playbook.
Yeah.
It's just whatever outlaw stuff the Republicans want to do and that the Dems fail to stop. That's the phase we're in right now, right?
I'm processing that. I'm processing two things you said. The first thing I'm processing is, and Connie and I tend to be in agreement on most things. I love Connie Rice, as you all know. But I'm going to part ways with Connie on this. I don't think, and I've certainly had my critique of Barack Obama, as everybody knows, but I would not put Kamala Harris in the same frame as Barack Obama when it comes to politicking. You think she's that good?
I saw her connect with traditional Democrats in a way she started 10 points behind because she'd been given the toughest stuff, never been given the resources to do it. She couldn't get her staff together. As vice president, she did not have a good first couple of years, remember?
That's true.
So she started with a negative deficit, but she overcame that quickly, put together a team, put together a machine. She raised a whole bunch of money. Her messaging was at top of the line. I mean, she's going to be a little bit different, but I think in terms of messaging and communicating and connecting with highly educated constituents that are the traditional folks of the Democratic voters, she did that at a level that Obama doesn't. They're very different, I agree.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that she's in that league. There was nothing that I looked at and said, "Oh my gosh, how could she possibly run for president?" When I look at the Republicans, it's like they are manifestly unfit, and that seems to be a qualification. You have to be unfit and a sex abuser, otherwise you can't run.
Yeah.
So we've got one party of the anti-hero.
Yeah.
But for normal people who think that you ought to be trying to uphold the ideals and believe in rule of law and constitutional democracy and all the stuff that Frederick Douglass and Rosa Parks and all of our ancestors fought for. If you still agree with that, then yeah, she carried that. She carried that mantle.
I'm just playing devil's advocate because it's fun to do that with Connie Rice. So let me just offer three reasons, three ideas that I think will push back. How successfully, I do not know, because she is Connie Rice and I am not. But let me offer three retorts. Number one, I could argue, and I will for the sake of having some fun here, that her success, the success that she did have, was less about her and more about him. And the him cuts two ways. It was anybody but Joe Biden, who everybody at that point thought after the debate was not qualified to continue. So she just benefits from the fact that she's somebody other than Joe Biden, number one. She also benefits from the fact that nobody wanted Trump. He ends up winning, of course, but nobody really wanted Trump. So anybody against Donald Trump would have gotten some traction in this race, given all the stuff he was saying and doing on the campaign trail. And number three, the one that really rubs me is the money. People make a big deal about the $1 billion that she raised. Well, a lot of that money was money that was already earmarked for Joe Biden, number one. And number two, she raises $1 billion because she wasn't in a competitive primary. If Kamala decides to run a few years from now, she ain't going to raise nowhere near $1 billion because the money's going to be split 20 different ways. So we put too much on the money. I ain't hating. I'm just playing devil's advocate. Your response?
No, you're not hating. And the points that you raise are good. That doesn't negate the fact that she performed well. You look at that Democratic convention. I mean, I have my critique of it, but
Sure.
If you look at all of the markers she had to hit, she hit them. Okay. Everything you said can also be true, but I don't think that if she were a media, like I can't see Amy Klobuchar carrying off that level against Trump.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
I don't see Elizabeth Warren doing it either.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what she brought was that she has charisma, or as what do the kids say, Riz? She's got charisma. Okay, and she carried that, is what I'm saying. I can think of a lot of capable politicians in the Democratic Party at the national level who would not have generated the kind of excitement that she did. Okay, especially in that short a time. So I don't quarrel with anything that you said. Nobody wanted Trump. That's true. Oh well, 40% of white America did.
Yeah.
But you think, but that's also cuts both ways because we're in an anti-hero, anything but a traditional established politician.
Yeah.
I think That's what brought her down more than anything.
Yeah.
And the short timeline. So we can disagree about the whys.
Right.
In doing the autopsy on the race, my conclusion is that great campaign, especially, but for the wrong time.
Yeah. Here's the question.
And Trump ran the perfect campaign for this dystopian moment.
Right. This is a question completely out of the blue. I recognize that, and I warn you about that in advance. It's completely out of the blue. This would never have happened, but just for the sake of argument, what would have happened if Joe Biden had gotten out and rather than passing the baton to Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders had gotten the nod? Now, you said you can't imagine anybody else doing what Kamala did. In that particular context, I can see Bernie doing exactly what Kamala did, and maybe even more. I could be wrong, and again, we'll never know, but I'm just curious. What do you think would have happened if Bernie had been the candidate with 107 days to go and not Kamala Harris in this race against Donald Trump?
Bernie Sanders may have gotten a bigger chunk of the men who went to Trump this time.
Right.
But Bernie Sanders is wonderful. He sings in the key of my soul. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. I love Bernie Sanders and AOC. However, Bernie Sanders, I looked at him and I said, he's a wonderful man. His ideas are great. He's a warrior for low income folks and anti-poverty stuff. Love him. But he had no interracial IQ. If you come from Vermont, you don't have an interracial IQ.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
There was no way that he could get enough of the black vote. Do you?
Agreed.
I mean,
Agreed.
That was, I vote for him in a second. But if you look at his ability to communicate and connect with, he just doesn't come from that world. So I think it's a great hypothesis to consider.
Yeah.
But I don't see him. He'd have gotten a different combination of the votes, but I don't see him overcoming what hurt him in his first primary round.
No, we agree. He wouldn't have tapped in at the level of black people. Cornel West was on this program days ago. He's, of course, on again today at the top of the second hour. And we made the point that even though Cornel West campaigned with Bernie pretty much everywhere he went the first time he ran, he still couldn't tap in. And if you can't tap in with Cornel West by your side, then heaven help you. But part of the problem is what you said. He just didn't have that sort of track record. And the thing that's fascinating for me is that Bernie Sanders is the most progressive candidate that black folk have had a chance to vote for in quite some time, and he still couldn't turn the corner on the most progressive and loyal base of the Democratic Party, black voters. I digress on that for now. On Monday of this week, we had Christopher Sebastian Parker, noted pollster, the founder and president and CEO of Black Insights Research, professor at UC Santa Barbara. I asked him a question about Kamala and about black women. Here's what he had to say.
So one of the things that my partner and I found is that after the election, we asked a question about whether or not, essentially just paraphrasing here, whether or not Trump's election would essentially cause them to double down and fight even harder or take an extended time out. Mm-hmm. And about 61% of black folks said the latter. They wanted to take an extended time out, and B, about roughly 70% of that figure were black women. Yeah. They were like, yep, we're done. Mm-hmm. And so we got to get them back on board. So that's what they're thinking. They just feel, especially since, it was Kamala, that was the standard bearer for the Democratic Party. Black folks just feel, really tired and exhausted, right? It's like, it's one thing, Tavis, for Trump to win the first time, were that not bad enough, yeah, right? But then this guy had a chance to sit in the office for 4 years and do all of the stuff that he did, and this is not even including January 6th, right? Yeah. And then now he runs again, and he actually wins after all of that stuff. Yeah. They're like, you know what? We're done. Yeah. We're done.
So that's Christopher Sebastian Parker on Monday, and that data point is disturbing to me, Connie, for a variety of reasons. So Kamala, you heard in that clip earlier we played, suggested that she remains full of hope, even though she's not running for governor. She remains full of hope, but essentially she's tapped out for the moment. She said that my involvement will not, for now, be around elective office. So she's full of hope, and yet she tapped out. And my question is, given the data point you just heard about black women saying they too are going to tap out, now that Kamala, on top of that, has tapped out, are black women. What, Connie? Talk to me. What y'all gonna do?
Hey, listen. We were up to bat. We've been batting for 10 years now. I looked at my white friends. I said, "Okay, your turn."
Yeah.
Your turn. Y'all are the ones putting this madman in the White House. Get up there and do something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's time for us to do some self-care. I have no problem with that. We will suit back up and get back in the game. What was interesting in the it was like, okay, so Harris got what, 89% of the black female vote.
Mm-hmm.
She got 88% of the Jewish female vote, and 88% of the black male vote.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, those were the top three groups that voted for her. So look, in the next 2 years, it could be time for sanity and maturity and serious people to get back in the game after this clown show. You hire clowns, you're going to get a circus. People may get tired of the circus. Once the tariffs step in and they can't even buy beef because he put 50% tariffs on Brazilian beef, who knows where we'll be. But here's the thing, Tavis, they keep changing the rules with this gerrymandering and everything. It may be that they change the playing field, that even if we're ready to get back in the game, there won't be a game to play. So we've got to keep our eye on the constant destruction of the levers of power, and they're stealing it right from us, and our leaders keep getting shocked and stunned.
Let me probe that right quick, because we talked about this on the program a day or so ago. Let me just put a finer point on it with Connie Rice in the 4 minutes I have left here, because she has put her finger on the issue for me. On a certain level, it might not matter what Democrats do, and I don't mean to be, the Grim Reaper here. It might not matter what Democrats do, because Republicans are picking up seats all across the country in this season of redistricting, this season of gerrymandering. The reason Democrats are running outside the state of Texas is so they can't be arrested and compelled to show up in Austin to vote for this redistricting plan that they want advanced in Texas. They're picking up 5 more Republican seats in Texas. Ron DeSantis pushed through 3 or 4 or 5 more seats in Florida. That's done. Gavin's doing an end run now around voters so he can try to hold on to the seats that Democrats have in California. But when all is said and done, the data suggests we may lose at least 4 seats here in California. We are the bluest of blue states. I see gerrymandering, Connie, as one of the preeminent threats to this very democracy. Your turn.
100% agree. Now, they need to get, you can't play by rules if the other side isn't in the game. Mm-hmm. They've created a new game, and it's called Rototill. It's called wood chipper.
Yeah.
Okay? If your opponent is of goodwill and has agreed to the system that you're in, you're okay. You can do this, but this ain't Bob Dole and Bill Clinton, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the biggest grifter, and we got a RICO operation in the White House. And if you're going to do rule of law rules against somebody who's a gangster, guess who's going to lose? You.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is there's no high road to take anymore. I know Michelle Obama said, when they go low, we go high. Well, that's when there's a road. We're not a road. We're in a septic tank right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you better understand where you are. What's the frame we're in? We're in a septic tank.
Yep.
You better get some new rules. You've got to fight fire with fire. And if the system is no longer existing, if you play by the fair rules of a system that no longer exists, they will gerrymander you out of everything.
Yeah.
So if gerrymander is the weapon, we've got to wield it too. And you don't want to, but if you don't, you're not going to be around to fight.
Yep. Here's my exit question, I think, and none of us has a crystal ball, but based on the way she's moving right now, what would be your guess? I'm not even going to ask you, I'm going to call it a guess, not even an estimate, because, it's a guess. What would your guess be at this moment as to whether or not Kamala runs again in the next race for president?
She's doing laps to prepare for that race.
Yeah.
She hasn't decided whether it's worth doing that marathon yet, but she's preparing. She's training.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think she has her eye on a real run, because I don't think she felt like she got a fair chance.
Yeah, yeah.
But she did say, I'm learning the new rules, and maybe next time she'll go talk to Joe Rogan.
Yeah. my view is, and we'll close this conversation where we began it. Connie and I both agreed that she couldn't do both. She couldn't run for governor and president. Everybody pretty much understands that. And so you opt out of the governor's race doesn't necessarily mean you're going to run for president, but had she run for governor, it would have foreclosed on running for president. So my point is, the door is still open. It's still wide open. We shall see. For now, as always, I thank Connie Rice for her brilliant insights. Connie, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Tavis.
Just getting started. William Barber up next on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A federal judge is weighing whether Miami is the right venue for a lawsuit over the Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center. Here's Friends of the Everglades Executive Director Eve Samples.
With each passing day, there's more potential for harm, which is why we want the court to act as quickly as possible.
Environmentalists say it belongs in the Southern District, but the state argues the site is in Collier County under Middle District jurisdiction. Like D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser and Commanders President Mark Klaus are urging the City Council to approve a $3.7 billion deal to bring the NFL team back to the RFK Stadium site. Bowser called it a BFD, and Klaus says it's a historic opportunity for the district. And T-Pain will head the Sphere stage in Las Vegas during Grand Prix weekend, closing out the festivities on Saturday, November 22nd, with more acts performing on the T-Mobile stage. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Emergencies can happen at any time. That's why building an emergency kit and having a plan is so important. Southern California Edison stays ready for the unexpected, and they encourage you to be prepared too. For more information and to update your outage alerts, visit SCE.com/be prepared.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers lost at Cincinnati 5-2. Their lead in the NL West is down to 3 games over San Diego. The Padres have won 5 straight. The Angels' 3-game winning streak was snapped with a 6-3 loss at home to Texas. The highest paid offensive lineman in the NFL plays for the Chargers. Left tackle Rashawn Slater signed a 4-year extension worth $114 million. $92 million is guaranteed. Slater, entering his 5th season with the Chargers, will average $28.5 million with his new deal. The HBCU Legacy Bowl, an all-star game for HBCU football players, got a major financial boost from the John Madden Foundation. The foundation, named in honor of the legendary NFL broadcaster, agreed to cover all expenses for the Legacy Bowl Career Fair, which attracts more than 800 HBCU students from around the country. The Legacy Bowl is scheduled for February 21st in New Orleans. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dominique DePrima from the show First Things First, weekday mornings from 6 to 9. Join me tomorrow for a comprehensive reparations conversation with the leading scholar on the topic, Dr. William Sandy Darity. Plus, we'll have headlines, hot topics, and your phone calls. It's a Friedman Friday, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Hi, everyone. My name is Raquel Graham, and I have a big announcement to make. I have my own radio show. It debuts on KBLA 1580 on August 2nd, and it is called Entrepreneuring. I'm an inventor, a Shark Tank winner, entrepreneur for over a decade, and a proud mom of 2. I created this show because I know firsthand that entrepreneurship doesn't have just one look. Entrepreneuring celebrates what building a business really looks like. Big, medium, small, and micro. Some of us are running multi-million-dollar operations. Some of us are braiding hair in our kitchens. We're bakers, grant writers, laundromat owners, event promoters. Mark your calendars. Please tune in August 2nd, KBLA 1580 at 1 p.m. Pacific time. No question is too big or small. Let me know what you'd like for me to cover. See you then.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay, yay!
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and the Right Reverend William Barber II. In just a second here, we were just talking to Connie Rice about gerrymandering, and as I posited, I see gerrymandering as one of the great threats to this experiment in democracy. I always say experiment in democracy because I believe that, like Connie, we have a Madisonian framework for democracy, but we ain't quite achieved it yet. So gerrymandering is one of the great threats to this experiment in democracy. But just check this out. A couple of hours before Texas Republicans, who I referenced earlier, these Democrats leaving Texas to try to avoid this, a couple hours before Texas Republicans unveiled their draft map, J.D. Vance, vice president, took the opportunity to weigh in on the debate by, oddly enough, and I do mean oddly enough, complaining about, wait for it, gerrymandering. So Republicans are gaining on these maps, but that didn't stop J.D. Vance from complaining about gerrymandering. Here's what he had to say, and I quote, "The gerrymander in California is outrageous. Of their 52 congressional districts, 9 of them are Republican. That means 17% of their delegation is Republican when Republicans regularly win 40% of the vote in that state. How can this possibly be allowed?" That's his question, and I have two words in response to that. The nerve. The nerve. But interestingly, everybody talking about gerrymandering from their perspective. I digress for now. Bishop, how are you, sir?
I'm well, Doc. And look, so let me congratulate you on behalf of all our folk in the movement. The 16 rating I just heard about, and I'm telling folk you're the most important voice we need to be listening to in this moment. And just want to thank you for what you're doing across the nation, brother.
You are too kind. I appreciate that, man. And nobody, as this audience knows, I don't put this on people easily, but I said many, many times in your absence, and I say it now in your presence, that he is one of the great, perhaps the greatest moral voice in our country today, picking up the baton that Dr. King had to lay down when it came to organizing poor people, and I respect and regard no one more than Bishop Barber for the work he's doing in that regard. So in that sense, this is one big mutual admiration society, but enough of that. Let me get to what I want to talk to you about. Let me start redistricting. I know you're doing some movements with Moral Mondays. I know you're spending some time in Texas. Just talk to me about this redistricting thing as you see it, because to my mind, Republicans are gaining in Florida, they're gaining in Texas, and frankly, they're gaining here in California.
Exactly. And people need to understand, at the end of the day, redistricting is about holding on to power when you don't necessarily have the numbers in an at-large. So you can create a situation where actually you could have more progressives, say, vote in a state, but you redistrict in a way that the extremists would still win. This is what we saw in North Carolina, and actually what we beat them in court in 2018, and were able to prove that they were doing it with a surgical racism. Redistricting that's going on in Texas, and we saw this even in North Carolina, and it happens over the South because it's so critical to hold on to the South, because you can hold the former Confederate states, I like to say that in America right now, if you can hold those, you can control over 50% of over 30% of the House, and nearly 26 seats in the Senate before there's a vote cast anywhere. So what they're doing is they're perverting the vision of the Voting Rights Act. They're going in now and they're doing something called bleaching and stacking. And I want you folks to hear this clearly. They will look at, say, a black congressional district that's, say, 50% black or 49% black, where an African American can win by just going in and working hard, right? And they not even working as a majority; they have a majority. They will then bleach black and brown voters from a, say, dominant white district and stack them in that district, making that black district, say, 60, 70, or 80% black. Now, that may guarantee that one black person that their office or that district will always be black, but it undermines the ability to build fusion coalitions in those other districts. And they'll actually do it saying, we're looking out for black. But in many places, Tavis, they have actually, at the state levels, they have actually added to the number of black delegates, but undermined the number of progressive and Democrat delegates by using this formula. So I haven't fully reviewed what's going on in Texas, but I'm talking to people and they're saying that's a lot of what's going on. And it is the goal of holding on to these state assemblies. And you know, the other side of this, there's a book out called Democracy in Change. And it's a professor out of Duke. And she talks about how one of the goals of MAGA and the extremists is to eventually have a constitutional convention. And they almost have enough states now under Republican control, in the state legislature, to do that. If they were to do that, they could open up all these questions in a constitutional convention about 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship. It's a very dangerous thing that we see happening.
Yeah. One of the ways that you have argued, rather persuasively, that Democrats can get back in the game, as it were, is to organize poor people. You've said that time and time again on this program and every platform that I've ever seen or heard you on. Your book, just coming out now in paperback, is called White Poverty: How Exposing Myths About Race and Class Can Reconstruct American Democracy. Tell me how organizing the poor can reconstruct American democracy.
Well, let me give you, first of all, your audience, the power numbers. For instance, in North Carolina, 47% of the electorate are poor and or low wage workers. 40% are poor and or low wage. Trump won in North Carolina about 183,000 votes. Okay, somewhere in the neighborhood of over 1 million poor and low wage voters didn't even vote. If just 12% of them were organized and voted, not only would you have a Democrat governor and AG, you could overcome the margin of vote in the presidential election. And in all of the battleground, so-called battleground states now, because actually if you organize poor and low-wage folk, the battleground states change. But in all the so-called battleground states, poor and low-wage people control at least 36, and in most places, over 40% of the electorate. And in each of those states, if you look at the number of poor and low-wage people who aren't voting, the trend in 20% in any of those states of those people organized around an agenda fundamentally shifts your election. We did a study with Columbia University, and we asked this question: what is the number one reason why poor and low-wage people are not voting? And the number one issue was twofold. Nobody's talking to us, and nobody calls our name when they are in their agenda. We hear middle class, but we never hear poor and low wages. Just last week, Celinda Lake, who's a leading pollster and advisor, did a study with Way to Win, a major study. And it came out and said that of the 19 million voters that voted for Biden and Harris in 2020 that didn't come back and vote for Harris in 2024, over a third of them, the majority of them said the number one reason they didn't vote, I'm not talking about they went and voted for someone else, that they didn't vote is because they did not hear a clear understanding of how poverty and low wages would be addressed. This is not hyperbole. This is real stuff. And so in the country right now, the largest possibility for expanding the electorate, the power of the electorate, is among poor and low wage. There are 87 million poor and low wage eligible voters. 30 million of them did not vote in this past election. 30 million of them. And again, as I said, if you go down the numbers and you can find a way to not allow the mythology to just separate white, black, and brown, but if they come together around an agenda, and some of the politicians are starting to learn. Roy Cooper, who's now running for the Senate, Tavis, in his opening video, he talks about addressing poverty.
I want to ask you about.
First time I ever heard him say that word.
No, let me ask you when we come forward. I want to go right to that. I am curious as to what happens, and you can take me in these private rooms that you in with these Democrats and just tell me publicly now what they say when you lay out this data, these data points. It's so clear, it's so obvious. As my big mom used to say, it's just too much like right. Just too much like right for them not to do it. But what do Democrats say when you lay out these data points? Because, again, that is the way for them to get back in the game. And it ain't like they don't know you. I saw you on stage at the Democratic Convention. I've seen you speak. So I know you know them, and they know you. When you tell them this stuff, what do they say? That's what I want to hear from Reverend William Barber II when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Less monologue,
more dialogue.
Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed, with the Reverend William J. Barber II, founder of Repairers of the Breach and Moral Mondays, author of the book White Poverty, How Exposing Myths About Race and Class Can Reconstruct American Democracy. That book is just out now in paperback, and I highly recommend you read it again. It's called White Poverty by Reverend Barber. I should also mention very quickly here that today happens to be the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. 60 years since Medicaid, and we know what's about to happen to all the poor people who are on Medicaid, given what is in this big ugly bill that Donald Trump and Republicans passed and signed into law on July the 4th. But just interestingly, today happens to be the 60th anniversary of Medicaid, and we know what's about to happen again to all those Medicaid recipients. So that said, Bishop Barber, when you tell Democrats the data points you've just shared with us on national radio, what do they say?
Well, it's kind of a quadrilateral. So we get three or four different answers. And by the way, on that bill, that bill is we call it a big, ugly, deadly bill because 51,000 people will die every year from the taking of 16 million people off of Medicaid. 51,000 people will die. So this is a deadly bill. It's policy murder and policy violence. But it also, when you look around the country and get into what they say, is that wherever you go in any state, 60 to 70% of the people want living wages. They want Medicaid. They want health insurance. So you go in these rooms and you give them these numbers. The first thing one of the things people say is, we don't know. And I'm like, well, who's doing your research? How can you be running for office, running for governor, running for president, running for Senate, and you not know, as a part of just your research, that, for instance, in North Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and Texas, if you just mobilize 10 to 12% of poor and low-wage voters that are eligible to vote, already registered, but aren't voting, if you just talk to them, that 10 to 12% would change everything at large. How do you not know that? The second thing people say is, in the strain, we don't have time to go after people who are infrequent voters. We're just going to focus on the people we are sure of. Well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
If you're really running to win. The third thing is we hear folks say, and I've heard some black folks say this, black elected officials. I'm okay. I don't have to work, because what we're saying there is, even if you're okay, you should be working to increase the voter turnout in your district 10 or 15%.
That's right.
Not so you can win, but so those extra votes can help at the at-large level.
That's right.
The governor's races, the Senate races, the presidential races. And then the final thing that we actually, I didn't say it, but Pete Buttigieg, in a forum at the church I used to pastor, told us this, Tavis, and it's on tape. I'm going to send it to you. He said, I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying this. He said, but the consultants that consult us as Democrats tell us not to use the word poor. And I said, what? Because I thought he had, maybe lost it a little bit. I said, what did you just say? He said, the paid consultants tell them, don't use the word poor. Stay away from the word. Stay away from poor and low wages. Talk about working people or talk about the middle class. And then on the flip side, the studies that we've done said the real reason people don't vote as much as they should
because they don't say
because
it.
they don't talk to
we call that a conundrum. In our remaining moments with Reverend Barber, I want him to say a word about their latest upcoming activation. I love the work he's doing around organizing poor people, the Moral Mondays. They got a big activation coming up. I'll let him close on that note when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. BenefitsCheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vid. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Your child is 18, and suddenly you no longer have legal access to their medical info, even in an emergency. No health decisions, no financial help, nothing, unless you plan ahead. That's why Trust and Will created the Young Adult Plan. It includes HIPAA authorization, healthcare directives, and power of attorney. Everything your child needs to stay protected and stay connected. Go to trustandwill.com and get your Young Adult Plan for just $69, because turning 18 shouldn't mean cutting parents out of the picture. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Trust and Will.
Some things can steal your sunshine.
Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and William J. Barber II. I've got 3.5 minutes left. I yield it all to the gentleman from Moral Mondays to tell us about the new and upcoming activations. All yours, Doc.
Thank you so much, Tavis. Well, we started at the Rotunda in Washington, D.C. with Moral Mondays challenging this ugly, destructive, deadly deal, particularly around the issue of Medicaid and 60 million people losing their insurance. The place is going to hurt the worst is the South, so we decided to go South. And a few weeks ago, we had 12 southern states where diverse groups of people, impacted people, clergy, took caskets directly to the senators' offices, because every senator in the South voted for this bill that's going to hurt their own people, except one, Tom Tillis. And now they're trying to cover it up and say and not talk about its deadliness. On August 18th, the anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment, we're going back to all those southern states, and we're going to stage the biggest one in Mississippi. And we're going to be with black and white and brown and women that are impacted. It will be the love. They will die. Some of them, if they don't keep their Medicaid, they will be the testifiers. And then together, we will all take a casket to both senators' offices to say, you have participated in this policy violence, policy murder. We're not going to let it leave the headlines. And part of it is to keep the public educated and angry so that they will register, be motivated, and vote. We can't let what this bill has and will do lead the headlines. And we have to go to the heart of the places where the very senators that claim they love the people have actually voted against their very lives. And we have to do it in a dramatic form. So we'll be in Mississippi, in Tennessee, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Kentucky, all 12 of those southern states will be there on August 18th. Anybody who wants to participate, go to repairsofthebreach.org. We've got 20 partners, but the main partners are impacted people. Like, and I'll say in the last 30 seconds, like the young lady who was in the Rotunda with cerebral palsy, holding her Bible, begging them not to do this, and they arrested her in the Rotunda for merely praying, Tavis, for just praying. But 5 million people tuned in that day, too. We are doing this not just to make them change, but to do mass public education so we can do mass organizing and mass voter participation. We cannot get over our anger at what they did in this bill. It's too deadly, too mean, too destructive for us to just let it go off the headlines.
This action is called Moral Mondays, a Southern Call to Conscience. Moral Mondays, a Southern Call to Conscience. Give the website again one more time, Bishop.
It's breachrepairers.org. Breachrepairers.org. www.breachrepairers.org.
Somebody once said, I believe it was Gandhi, who said that poverty is the worst form of violence, and we are blessed to have Bishop Barber on the front lines of this fight to speak for and alongside with these impacted people, and as I said earlier, pick up the mantle that Dr. King had to lay down, organizing poor people, and I hope Democrats are paying attention this time around. Love you, Bishop. I'll talk to you soon, man. Thanks for your time.
Likewise, my friend. Take care.
Stay strong. More of Tavis when we come forward in our next hour, starting with Dr. Cornel West.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. A federal judge is weighing whether Miami is the right venue for a lawsuit over the Alligator Alcatraz Detention Center. Here's Friends of the Everglades executive